Well, hey there, Leslie Sansone Williams here, coming to you today from Paralegal Inner Circle class, which is launching on May 15th, as well as the Cover Letter Secrets class, also officially launching on that date. So you can scroll through the feed and find on Facebook to find info regarding that, and YouTube. Always look in the description box. There are also free resources spread throughout the Facebook feed and the YouTube description box. So don't miss that, okay? They're there for you, the entry-level paralegal. So this is in response. This video is in response, and there'll be several more videos covering topics where I asked, what were your concerns? What are your worries? What are your struggles regarding the paralegal career? So this first one is going to cover going from a different position that you may, it's a foot in the door position. It was for me, of legal receptionist, legal secretary. And then it's not saying I didn't do paralegal work, okay? Not saying that. But when I started out there in that position, there was a paralegal on board who, it was a brand new law firm. They had come from another law firm and they started their own. 3 attorneys and 1 paralegal. And then they brought me on to try to take some of the phones off the paralegal. And she shared that phone duty with me, by the way. And I was responsible for a lot of all of the filing, buying the groceries like snacks and office supplies. I did not have to run to the courthouse because then you had a file at the courthouse. Now it's electronic. But I knew that I would have to have something with more substance. And this is just the first probably couple weeks where I was relegated to that position with no real substance, but to try to take things off the paralegal. And I knew that I would need more than that. And because of what I had done in my life and run my own business and all of that, but that's what I needed, more responsibility, more duties to perform that were more geared toward the paralegal. So I also greeted any clients that were coming in because I was sitting out front, and we did not have a lot of clients that came to the office. So that was interesting. And so the question is, how do you go from that, if that's what you're in right now, or that's what you're thinking about, to a full-fledged paralegal position? You might think that legal offices or the legal department of a corporation will just allow you to work your way up and they will prefer to hire from within. That's not always the case, because what happens is sometimes they like the way you perform your job so much that they don't want to lose you in that position. I had great customer service skills because I owned my own business, and I grew up in a family business, and I was used to dealing with customers. So I really doted on the clients on the phone and in person. They loved that. Did I see myself being called a paralegal in that firm anytime soon? No, I didn't. And that's one of the reasons I left. However, I had the opportunity, this was the scenario for me. I had the opportunity to work on 3 different trials with one of the attorneys who was newer in the firm. He had worked for the city for many years, but as an attorney, but he was new to that firm. And he and the paralegal were kind of at odds with each other. And so that opened the door for me to do more work of substance, more substantive paralegal work. So I was not drafting documents on my own, but working closely with that attorney. But working on 3 trials was something that I found out I loved. Okay, not everybody loves it, but I found out that I really like it. And that attorney and I just clicked. And he asked me to come with him a couple years later when he started his own firm. So if you don't have that opportunity, if you're currently in a legal receptionist, legal secretary combo position, and you're doing basically letters, you're doing correspondence, and you're doing filing, you're answering phones, that type of thing, but you're not getting to do the legal documents, that's problematic, because it's hard to then say, I know how to do this, and move into a paralegal position. But there's always a way around that. When you are working in a law firm or a legal department of a corporation or a nonprofit, and you're not getting that opportunity, I tell this, it doesn't matter what your scenario is. This goes for any entry-level paralegal. You have to look up the area of law you want to go into and find out what are those paralegal duties. And you have to learn some of those duties. Does that mean that you can't apply for jobs that are, now if they're asking for 3 to 10 years or 3 to 7 years experience, I wouldn't apply to those. But if it's more, it's not completely entry level, but it's more of a, we need 1 to 2 years experience. Would I not apply to those? Well, I would apply, okay? But you have to convince them that you know how to do some of these duties. You know, what do you know how to do in order to help them? That's what you have to research on Google. This is what I did when I wanted to change areas of law. I went into Google, researched the heck out of what paralegals do in whatever it was, whether it was personal injury, criminal defense, any area of law. What are the paralegal duties? That's what you have to look for. And then research those duties, like what does this mean? And find some of those things that you can discuss with the attorney. If you keep letting the fact that they're asking for 1 or 2 years experience keep you away from applying, then you're never going to break in. You have to get over that head game you're actually putting on yourself. Does that mean everyone you apply to will call you? No, it's a numbers game. You have to apply to a lot of jobs in order to get 1 or 2 interviews. If you give up too easily, then you're never going to move ahead. And so, yes, while the struggle is real and fear is real and all of that, you have to keep pushing forward and do the legwork, do the homework, and proving to the attorney, what do you know how to do in this field? What makes you think that you can apply to this job when you have 0 experience in business law? You know, and what a paralegal does in that. You know, what if an attorney is looking for somebody with 1 or 2 years experience who understands how to set up a small company? Well, what would you do in that? How do you set up a small company in your state? What are the steps for that? So setting up a corporation or an LLC, so look those things up and educate yourself. It's not that hard to do, and find out what those steps are. How do you file a fictitious name? Somebody wants to set up a company, and it's not going to be under their name, their personal name, but it's going to be under a company like Dunkin' Donuts, or Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A. When they set it up initially, they had to file a fictitious name with who? The Secretary of State for whatever state they started the business in. and they had to file other documents when they set up themselves as an LLC or a nonprofit or a corporation. Okay, so go check that out on Google. I know that many of you are not using Google as the resource that it can be for you. So yes, that's what I did every time I wanted to move into a different area of law. I found out that the area of law I first worked in was fine, wasn't boring to me because it involved litigation, trial prep. Then I moved into personal injury. Not my fave, but I learned a whole lot doing that. I learned so much more in the second job. And by the time I was in the third job, I knew a lot, still had to learn, still made mistakes here and there, and then learned a lot more, okay? So that's what it takes. It takes not giving up. It takes doing research on Google to see what paralegals do. Again, can't say this enough, not what attorneys do, okay? Those will be different duties. If you are currently working in a position that is similar to what I've mentioned, or that's what you're looking at, then what are you learning on that job? You have to write that down in your notebook. What have you learned? Don't lose track of that. It's very important because all those skills hold dollar amounts here and in the mind of the future employer. So you've got to write that down. That's money. That's money in your pocket for every new skill you learn, whether it's technical or legal, okay? So you've got to list those responsibilities that you've had already. If you're in the career now and you're in your second or third job already, no problem. Write down, go back in time and remember what you did, everything you did, and all of it brings value. But does it pertain to working as a paralegal? If not, what are you going to do? You're going to research on Google. You're going to learn how to do some of those duties so you can talk about it. You know? Okay? And yes, if I were you, I would take my Paralegal Inner Circle class so that you can talk about some more things and you can learn how to apply to the right jobs, number one, how to interview properly, number two, and we go into many other areas. And you can go to my website, and I'll do an easy web address. It'd be paralegalcoffeetalk.com/blog. And then when you're on that page, look for the Paralegal Inner Circle class, okay? And check out what's included so that, and there are testimonials there, but also go through that whole page and look. All right, so that's just one of the topics I'm going to cover this week. Stay tuned for more videos. Some of those will be, you've entered the wrong area of law, what do you do? Okay, the next one will be how to get through the fear of the unknown. And the following one will be how to land the best paralegal job for you. Okay? And that is it. Any questions, comments related to this or any other video on Facebook or YouTube, place in the comments below. I love hearing your feedback. It's very important because your feedback will help me do future videos, and that helps other people. So don't be shy about sharing the questions that you have, okay? Have a great one. Don't forget to scroll through the feed. Step number one always is the Legal Break-In book. Step number two is the Paralegal Inner Circle class. Step number three is the Cover Letter Secrets class, okay? So have a great one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.